In this lesson, we are going to understand pre-composing layers. If you have learned Adobe Premiere, you will find that pre-composition is same as sequences. Actually, pre-comp is a group of layers, and you can make a number of pre-comps in your project. So let's begin. I have already made a bouncing ball animation. Actually, it's a very small animation and I doesn't care about the details. So it's only for demonstration purpose. Let's explore these two shapes. On the red wall shape, position parameter is animated, and on the shadow shape, scale parameter is animated, but values are in red color. This is because we have entered some expression on these values to animate it in loop throughout the composition. Now suppose we want to change the size of this shadow in the beginning. So let's increase its size here. Now if we examine our animation, it will scale both in x and y axis. Before that, it was scaling only on x axis. So to make it uniform, we have to change values on each keyframe. We can solve this problem by pre-composing these layers. So let me undo it, collapse the properties, and select both layers. Now go to Layer and choose Pre-compose. Let's call it Ball Animation. Here we have two options to pre-compose these layers, but since we have selected two layers, so first option is disabled. We will discuss about that later in this lesson. For now, I am moving all attributes to the new composition. Just hit OK. Now we have a new composition here. It has also created a new composition in the project panel. Just double click on the composition to open it. Here we have both layers with all parameters. Again go to main composition. Let's open layer properties. Let's scale it to 150%. Now check our animation. Everything is alright. Now it's not affecting our individual layers. Instead of that, it's affecting the whole composition. Let's make it some small, say 50%. It's still working pretty fine. Let me undo that couple of times. The only problem is that it's not scaling from its center point. This is because its anchor point is in composition center but not in our animation. Also we have a small animation, but its reason is occupying the whole composition. We will solve this later. Let's duplicate this pre-comp by pressing Ctrl D and move it aside. So now we have two ball animations. Let's scale it up to 70%. You see that? Changing properties of one pre-comp will not affect the other one. They are independent. Also, duplicating the pre-comp in the timeline panel will not duplicate that in project panel. So pre-composition will not get changed until we change the original layers inside the pre-composition. Let's get inside the composition. And let's scale the red ball up to 140%. Now come back to the main composition. And you can see red ball size is increased in both compositions since we have changed this in the original layer. Now let me delete this one. Now it's time to solve the other issue, that is pre-comp's reason. So get inside the pre-comp. Here we have a button called reason of interest. Just click on it and drag a reason around your animation. It's something like masking. Now go to the composition menu and click on crop comp to reason of interest. And it will crop the current composition to the reason of interest you have drawn. Now come back to main composition. So now its reason is limited to our animation. So let's set its anchor point using this pen behind tool and pull this anchor point to the center of the animation. Now if we scale it down, it will be scaled from the center. Let's hide this composition by turn off this eye exactly as in Photoshop. Now let's put our character here, which we have used before. Scale it down a bit. Now hit P key to open position parameter. Let's move it to left side. Add a keyframe. Place playhead to the 2 seconds. And now move character to the right side. And it will automatically add a new keyframe. So we have a very simple animation. Alright, let's pre-compose this layer. Call it character animation. And at this time, I want to leave all attributes to comp1. So it's still working same. Go inside of the composition and open position parameter of the character footage. What's going on? No keyframes here. If we look on the scale property, it's 100%. This is because we have chosen leave all attributes to comp1. So it has left all those attributes to the main composition. But when we chose to move all attributes to the new composition, like this one, it will move all properties to inside the new composition. This is the difference between those two.